Hello everyone. So the year has almost come to a close. I wanted to share with you all the games I have been playing this year and give sort of my impressions and briefly my experience with them. Most of the games on this list are not from this year, so it's not a best game of 2023 type of video. I tend to fall back into certain games because I just love them. This is not a ranking and I'm not a video game reviewer, if that word even means something these days. But without further ado, these are the games I played this year. I started this year while I was traveling for the holidays, so I was playing on my Nintendo Switch a truly special game called Eastward. This is a 2021 action-adventure role-playing video game developed by Pixpill and published by Chucklefish. It was released for the Nintendo Switch, Mac, Windows in September and then a little later for Xbox One in December of 2022. This game is a small indie just developed by 3 friends from over in Shanghai. So the story follows John and Sam in a beautiful, detailed post-apocalyptic world in the near future. Society is starting to collapse and the human population is at an all-time low. The gameplay combines combat with puzzle solving and exploration. Players make use of 2 characters, each with different abilities and roles in the game. The game tells a rather moving story and has an incredibly beautiful art style. And what I love even more is the incredible soundtrack, which I even listen to from time to time in my day-to-day life. I strongly recommend this game also for people who are new to gaming and like the overall style of the game, with good storytelling, easy to learn combat that gradually becomes more challenging, but teaches you to face things as you go, and fun puzzle mechanics as well. Also, there is a DLC coming out for Eastward soon, early next year. Octopia it's called, and it's landing on Steam and Nintendo Switch on January the 31st. Then I played the new Hogwarts Legacy game, as this is an action role-playing game that was released this year and is developed by Avalanche Software and is published by Warner Bros. Games. Especially when I was younger, I went through a very big Harry Potter phase, and the me of that time could have only dreamed of having a game like this around. I started reading the books quite a bit later on in life, but yes, I am a fan. I played it on the PS5, but it is also available on PC, Xbox, and now on Nintendo Switch as well. It is a beautiful looking game, and I think they really nailed the looks and the feel of Hogwarts, and it is such an achievement. And for anyone who is a fan, finally being able to walk and explore around in this world makes it simply worth it. I enjoyed many of the characters, and I thought the way they approached taking classes was cleverly done. I personally enjoyed the combat as well, and they made it look, sound and feel good. Also, the Room of Requirement content was really up my alley, and to have the ability to customize and to make it feel like a home and giving you things to do in there with the alchemy was just great. I haven't finished the story yet, but have sunk a good amount of hours in so far. I do want to get around it at some point, very likely next year. Up next, I put these together because they are somewhat similar, and these are Oblivion and Skyrim. These probably don't need much introduction, and once again an action role-playing game by Bethesda this time. I don't know what it is, but I can't seem to get enough of these games. These are like comfort food for me. I just simply love diving into Tamriel and have these big worlds open to me and do anything I like. I like to dive in every so often and check what is new in the modding community, and I find modding has become so much faster and easier with the collections on Nexus Mods and Wabbajack, and you can be really up and running in no time. There's also this mod pack that I really recommend for Skyrim, and that is called Nulvus. It really overhauls the game immensely with incredibly good graphics, as you can see on the footage here. Also, the combat, magic and perk system is improved, and the world feels familiar but has so many changes it might as well be another game. The downside to some of these packs is that the demands on your system and storage are significant, especially with Nulvus, but there are some tweakable options there as well. I will link it below for those interested. Now, since we are talking about Bethesda games, I also played Starfield this year. I am a big fan of space and science fiction besides fantasy, and I really wish I could get into this game, but somehow I couldn't. I liked the spaceships and the customization there. I liked some of the NPCs and the base building, and I found that some of the weapons were cool and satisfying, and yet for some reason I don't feel like playing it much after about 20 hours or so. I have a feeling I'm not done with Starfield, but I'm also waiting to see what the modding community will do once Bethesda releases the modding tools for it. I think it's safe to say for those who don't own it yet, it's probably safer to wait for a sale on this one and try it in the future perhaps. A game that came out of early access this year and I really enjoyed is War Tales. I almost forgot about this one since it's been a couple of months since last I played, and given I was so excited for Balers Gate 3, I forgot a bit about this one. But this game is a tactical open world RPG developed by Shiro, in which you lead a group of mercenaries in their search for wealth across a massive low fantasy medieval universe. You start off with a small band of mercenaries and you explore this living and breathing world with villages, farmsteads, with bandits, animals and traders roaming the world. You can go to inns and recruit companions for money, collect bounties. You can have your companions learn different professions, let them take on different tasks in camp. Also, there are different classes and subclasses based on the skill trees you can unlock. The world is pretty brutal and unforgiving. The combat is turn-based, with movements and skills that are factored in how you maneuver your troops and execute their attacks. At the beginning of the combat, you have the ability to position your warband unless your group is surprised. From there, the turns go by initiative until resolved. This game also has a co-op, which I never tried, so I can't say if it's good or not. There is a paid DLC that came out recently. It's called Pirates of Balerion, and alongside it came a free update for the base game. This includes a new class. I still have to check it out. I will be having a look at it soon, I think. Now a game that is similar to this one in some aspects. It's a strategy action role-playing game, and this is Mount & Blade Bannerlord by Tale Worlds Entertainment. I think this game has everything I love in one video game. It has character customization, housing, romance, go wherever you want to go and be whoever you want to be an archer, brave warrior, a leader who commands from the back and uses tactics instead, or if you want to focus mainly on trading and running businesses, or go the political route with marriage and raising your heirs and trying to gain favors with other nobility. For me personally, I get much enjoyment in improving my character, getting better at combat, gearing up with the many options in armor, recruiting an army and companions and seeing them getting stronger. Then the biggest thrill is owning my own castle and defending it against difficult odds with these troops I have and my companions by my side, even with my own wife being present with me on the battlefield. You can even up the stakes and turn on permadeath with the option to only save when you quit the game, and it's without a doubt one of the most fun I've had playing a video game. Also graphically, it doesn't look half bad either. Without a doubt, I will play more Bannerlord next year. I might even give the PS5 version a go. If someone has tried it, please leave a comment on what your experience is over on console. I'm really curious to hear. Now, if you take Bannerlord and you make it in space, you get something like X4 Foundation. X4 Foundation is a space trading and combat game developed and published by the German video games developer Egosoft. I played several of the X games, going back to X2. I was also one of the few who really loved Rebirth, but some of the criticism at the release were warranted though. However, it's unfortunate that not a lot of people got to experience it because of its bad rep. Or well, you can just play X4. It's a fantastic game with a fully simulated economy, and you get so much freedom. Become a pirate, be a salvager or a miner, build and design your own space stations, trying to make them self-sufficient, all Factorio style. Build out your trading empire and build out your fleet to defend what's yours or take over the galaxy in really spectacular space battles with some incredible ship designs in which you can walk around in yourself. Have your crew members fly or take the helm yourself. Also, every time you start a new game, the seat will be different and you have wildly different experiences. Egosoft is also a very dedicated developer and they are still actively working on X4. They released the Kingdom's End DLC this year and have done drastic engine overhauls, more flyable ships, and the game is much more stable now compared to launch. Given it has to simulate everything that happens from your machine, it is pretty impressive, but you need sufficient RAM to run this game though. They also teased another DLC the other day called Timelines, so I certainly plan to play more X4 next year as well. And yet another action RPG from last year, I am sure known to most of you, and that I still have not finished, and that is Elden Ring by From Software. I have been playing on the PS5, and I go through phases of playing this game, and I feel there is no other game that wows me as much as Elden Ring does, in terms of epicness, feeling really small in a things gone wrong fairy tale world. A recurring theme in this video is that I like games with freedom and agency over your character, and this game has this in spades. Elden Ring was FromSoft's step into open world, with their previous games usually being more linear, or by unlocking shortcuts and a very complex map, but generally you had to improve to overcome certain points to progress. There is some of that in Elden Ring contained within castles and dungeons, but this non-linearity in Elden Ring delivers an amazing sense of freedom, as getting to traverse the world and explore ruins, caves and castles at your own pace gives way to a lovely mix of difficulty. The reason I have not finished the game is part that I am taking my time, I am not rushing, and I want to figure it out on my own. I have stayed away from YouTube and Reddit and wanted no guides or tips, and all I know of the game is that I have found myself so far. The environmental storytelling is really fun for me, and I get to figure out what is happening to this world on my own. With other FromSoft games, I usually was really impatient in figuring it out and watching a VatiVidya video to make sense of it all and connect things, but this time around I wanted to be blind and see where it leads me. I'm sure that by now I possibly missed out on some quests, but it's fine. I hope to spend the next year to play more Elden Ring and discover it myself. I recommend people playing this way to also have a journal on the side and take the occasional note on NPCs you run into and what they tell you. Somehow there is an old school vibe to it that I really appreciate. Now for something very different. Starship Troopers Extermination. This is a 16-person co-op first-person shooter developed by Offworld Industries. This is just a guilty pleasure of mine. Sometimes it's just incredibly fun to embrace the chaos that is Starship Troopers and shoots swarms of bugs, because the only good bug is a dead one. The game lets you pick between 3 different classes: assault, support and defense, and your mission is to build and defend your base from the bugs. This is still in early access, but it is already tons of fun. A recent expansion that came out adds a new hive mode with tactical nukes, so that's also really fun. So go play it. In a little similar vein is PlanetSide 2. This is a free-to-play MMO FPS, which simulates a 3-way sci-fi war on an alien world between 3 factions with tons of different vehicles and weapons between the factions. This game could have up to 2,000 players on a single map, so you would have these massive fights over territory, could last for days sometimes. I have not seen this in any other game to date, or perhaps maybe one other, which I will mention later. But yes, I still play PlanetSide 2 from time to time. The game is going for 11 years now. They still did some revamping and rebalancing this year to the construction system, but despite all that, the player base for PlanetSide 2 is slowly in the decline. Maybe the natural cycle of an older game, yet the game still looks really stunning at times, and some of the different biomes are seriously impressive too. It would be truly sad to see this game die out entirely. I hope next year could herald a bit of a renaissance for PlanetSide 2. I mentioned earlier big battles with large numbers of players. This is also an MMO sci-fi game, but this one has spaceships. EVE Online is developed by the Icelandic company CCP and celebrated its 20th birthday this year. I started playing EVE Online in the winter of 2011 while I was sick at home with strep throat, joining a corporation which is like the equivalent of a guild or a clan in other games. This corporation I joined as a newbie was declared war upon after a couple of days, and our one single counteroffensive led to a mass decimation, and given most of us were just new players, we were guided by a veteran player into a new corporation, of which I ended up being the CEO myself after several months of playing. The adventure seeking for more PvP outside the safety of NPC-governed high-security space, and a very strange guy I met on this adventure who knew a guy who led me to an alliance with the leader, becoming one of my best friends to date. We flew together, and a band of really good friends for many years on a path that led to even owning parts of 0-0 space. This is like a lawless Wild West area of space, like an outer rim, being part of huge and small battles. The incredibly risky nature of the game in which if you blow up your ship, that ship is gone and will need to be replaced with in-game currency. This made that there was always a big adrenaline rush in these fights, and large fights had a very impressive cooperation and tactics on a scale I don't think any game has come even close to. Also, every ship in this game is made by a player with minerals that were refined by someone who mined the ore for it, possibly moved by a trader who was trying to buy low and sell high somewhere. All of this is run by players. I could talk on for a while about EVE Online, I will not do so in this video. And given I am older now and I have family, I don't play so much anymore. I just like to log in occasionally and mine some asteroids and moons with my personally owned station, or set out on some missions for an NPC corporation for some money and reputation, enjoying the visually stunning universe with beautiful music. The game has changed a lot over the years and is visually stunning, and the UI is polished. Many ships were added over the years and modules to fit to these ships as well. It's an evolving game with a steep learning curve, but if any of it sounds appealing to you, I recommend checking it out. The new player experience has been improved upon a lot and streamlined. I was actually thinking of sharing my thoughts on the new player experience and starting a new character for video purposes, probably in the new year. But yes, if you can't tell, I love EVE Online and I will keep coming back to it from time to time. Now, there is another sci-fi space game I really enjoyed a lot this year, and that's Barotrauma. And in this one, you're actually in a submarine deep underneath the ice of Europa, a moon of the planet Jupiter. Because of the radiation, this is the only place safe enough to survive. In this side-scrolling game, you do missions from different underwater bases in the form of transportation, mining resources, recovering salvage, finding alien ruins, and so forth. And trying to upgrade or buy a better submarine together with your crew so you can go deeper and resist more pressure and reach other space stations, or underwater stations actually. You can play single player with bots or multiplayer, which is the better experience, I think. You have different roles in the submarine. You have the captain, the engineer, the mechanic, the medic, security, or the assistant. So you get to decide which role you want at the beginning of the game, and it gives you different bonuses. Technically, everyone can do anything, but without the proper skill, this job will become significantly harder, and likely you will mess things up too. This game is incredibly fun with friends, and I really recommend it. The way things can escalate from quiet to everything being on fire while being boarded by alien life forms, while parts of the ships are filling up with water, plummeting you to depths your submarine is not made for, is truly something else. Expect to die a lot in this game, but there is so much fun to be had in the teamwork and the chaos that ensues. More recently, I started playing The Lord of the Rings: Return to Moria, which is a survival crafting video game set in the 4th Age of Middle-earth, the iconic fantasy world created by J.R.R. Tolkien, which is an indie title developed by Free Range Games. And like so many, I am a big fan of Tolkien's work and the movies. The Silmarillion is a book that had such a profound impact on me that also has a lot to do with why I'm probably making Balers Gate 3 videos on YouTube today. It really has set me on a path of loving fantasy as much as I do. So when I heard there was a game coming out that allowed me to delve into Moria post War of the Rings, I was really excited. It's been a really special experience for me. I have been playing solo, and I have been experiencing the long dark of Moria alone. When I explored through the dark and lonely halls, I sometimes ask myself if this is how Aragorn must have felt when he ventured into Moria by himself. and the eerie feeling that something might be watching you. This loneliness makes the songs, the forging, and the elven gardens far more enjoyable and rewarding. They give you a little break from the dreariness and the dark of Moria. Also, finding signs of the Fellowship's presence and marks left by Gandalf when he was looking for Thrain pre-Hobbit is a really incredible feeling. Also, having Gimli voiced by John Rhys Davies is just awesome. Return to Moria utilizes procedurally generated realms, meaning no two adventures will be alike. Every expedition is traversable either solo or online with companions. Players can mine to craft greater gear and resources, but beware, mining makes noise, and noise creates in the quiet deep threatens to awaken the dangers below. Where there's clatter, there's combat. Excavate the mysteries of 3 legendary mountains. Extract precious metals, scrape to survive, and battle unspeakable forces to learn the secret of the shadow that lurks within. Of course, lastly, I should really mention Balers Gate 3 as well. What a year it has been with the release, many patches and improvements, Game of the Year award, and a great community, and something I share with you all here on the channel. It is without a doubt my most played game this year, that's including all the time in early access as well. As you can tell, I do like other games also, and I would like this channel to grow with my current interests as well, so I will be covering things I will be up to going into the next year. There will certainly be more Baldur's Gate 3 content. I finished the game one time and it's been such an adventure. I am curious what some other decisions would have taken me. I am thinking of an Evil and/or a Dark Urge playthrough next. On a final note about the channel, last months have been very busy for me with work and life, and I have not been able to create as much as I want to. But given this channel is not monetized and it's just a hobby, I really approach it as such and do it for fun, and whenever there's a good moment for it. I do really love doing it, and the growth the channel has gone through since its inception this summer. For those who are still here at this point, I want to tell you all I appreciate you all very much, and take the opportunity to wish all of you happy holidays and my best wishes for the next year. Feel free to leave me a comment for the type of content you like to see for the next year. If there is anything you'd like to know more about from the games I covered briefly in this video, feel free to ask about that too. See you all in the next year, and thank you all very much for being here. Bye.